let's break it. Hey!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen out there in Twitch land? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Let's Break It Down, an Overwatch League podcast where we break down the latest and greatest plays, news, scores, and analysis from the Overwatch League. This week's episode is not brought to you by the letter R. R is for Riptire, and that's good enough for Houston. My name's Amicus. I am your friendly neighborhood host. How's it going? Joined as always by my good buddy Riggs. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Now, before we kind of dive into the action-packed week behind us, did want to give a little bit of a shout out to our third host, Kavo. Unfortunately, Kavo is dealing with a little bit of some health issues right now, so he's actually going to be out for kind of the foreseeable future. So unfortunately, you guys are stuck with the two worst hosts, but we'll try and fill in as best we can.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best, and hopefully Cabo will return soon, or sooner rather than later. But again, like you said, right now we don't really kind of have an estimate as to when that will be. But we're hoping everything turns around for him soon, and he'll be back with everything. Hopefully, pretty soon. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
But yeah, man. So we just finished week 3 of stage 3. We are probably about 65% of the way through the regular season, something like that. So now we're kind of getting to the home stretch of stage 3, looking to see which teams are going to make it to the playoffs, which ones are going to kind of stumble and fall. And then the real drama begins next stage when we start seeing who's going to make the actual playoffs, those kind of top 6 teams. But how you doing, man? How's your week been?
Been pretty good.
Heard you started a new job.
Started the new job, so I've kind of been settling into that. It's been interesting, let me tell you.
Nice. That's always good.
But yeah, I'm still playing a little Sea of Thieves, trying to catch up. I actually got more into Overwatch this week, trying to collect some of those Retribution loot boxes.
Yeah.
And getting seriously lucky with the skins so far, so it's been kind of a nice event for me for the first time like ever.
Are you still chasing any you must-haves that you still need?
I actually got all the must-haves I could want, and even I sort of kind of want them because I think they're cools. At this point, it's pretty much like I'd like to get the last year's Mercy skin. I haven't got the new Winston, the new Lucio, and one of the Torps, the orange one.
Mm-hmm.
Like before he grew the beard and lost his hand.
Yeah. Like the Master Engineer one.
Like those 4 basically are the only ones I haven't gotten yet. So I did get lucky. I got 26. I got Moira, I got Sombra, I got Widow, got all those. So I'm pretty happy, man. This is the first event where I've really been like, I got everything I wanted. This is cool.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. It's definitely been a good event for sure. I think a lot of people really want to see some more PvE stuff from Blizzard, although I know it's kind of like resource intensive, so it's not really like the cost benefit isn't really there for them. But I'm loving playing as Brigitte. I'm not loving playing against Brigitte, but
I'm right there with you on that.
Right. She's supposed to be anti-dive, but it seems like she's just anti-losing. Like
I was gonna say she's like anti-everything.
Exactly.
She's a tank healer DPS that's just going to come in and wreck your shit. And that's just the way it is. And there's nothing I have yet to really find a counter for her. I thought initially like, okay, Bastion, because she's got the shield. I can just mow her down. No, dude, she like one-shots a Bastion with that damn mace to the face crap. You know, it's like
the stun, like the stun knockback damage combo is pretty deadly. So I think that they're at least nerfing her stun radius a little bit, so that should make her at least a little bit more predictable to play against, which will be good.
I was gonna say it's even easy to drop tanks with her when you just shield bash them, stun them, mace to the face, a couple with little whacks, and a Roadhog's dead.
For sure.
I mean, she is like the anti everything right now. She definitely needs a nerf before she goes into comp, or I would say pro level at the very least. but I've heard rumors. A lot of people think she will be in stage 4 already. That they'll be adding her that quickly. So I don't know, dude. I
Have we
mean,
seen like an official statement on that yet?
I have yet to see an official statement, but I think a lot of people are just assuming it based on the fact that she's getting added to the new comp season that's supposed to start.
Right.
That she'll also be added, like Moira was. Moira was added to comp season, and then like 2 weeks later, she was available in Overwatch League in stage 2. So,
Right.
I think people are kind of just assuming she's going to follow the Moira line. But again, these are all assumptions, so we don't know for sure. But I would actually like to see her in stage 4 just because I would
nice shakeup,
love
if
to
nothing
see
else.
yeah, dude, like some shakeup and how the pros play her and stuff. Like I know in Florida Mayhem videos, Manitin has been talking about how much he's really looking forward to playing her. So I'm actually wondering if you'll start to see some of those tanks step back from the diva, like the off tanks, and step more towards the Brigida,
Maybe.
as an off tank / off healer, and maybe open like that extra DPS slot.
Yeah,
You might see
maybe.
a lot more 3 DPS compositions. Who knows, man?
I mean,
Lot of possibilities.
as a viewer, that would be pretty hype to watch, right? If you can have, you got so many teams like XL and I mean, XL is the only one that comes to mind, really, but all these teams with like stacked DPS. Like, imagine if you could have Sabiobi, Pine, and Libero in on the same rotation. Like, that
That
would
would just
be,
be nuts.
I mean, it would just be really scrappy, right? So you got, an extra DPS on both teams. Like, that could be really, really cool to watch. Well,
Yeah, or
cool.
like Jonak, who's a murderer on Zen. You
Yeah.
you see what he does on Zen. He's got to play, some DPS characters really well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, if you could flex off and have kind of that one person being the off tank, off support, and get that extra person as DPS, like guys like Jonak maybe even able to DPS. We know Kareev can on Valiant. Like he's stepped up. He's played Widow, Tracer, all kinds of stuff. I
That's
mean,
one of the things that I love about players like Raucus that play like a flex support is because you see him on like the Zenyatta dealing out damage and healing, and you think, oh, this guy is just a really good support. But then they pull out like the Roadhog or the Bastion or all these kind of like crazy off the wall picks. And it's like all of a sudden these guys are actually like getting kills left and right. And you're like, damn, these guys are like really flexible.
yeah, it's super cool to watch. But
Yeah, very cool.
definitely, I think she's going to be a great flex character. I think that's where like ultimately her role is going to be is just in that flex spot.
Yeah.
Like I kind of see Brigida as kind of like she's not support, she's not a tank, she's not DPS. She's a little bit of everything. She's like the first character in a new subsection of characters that should be just flex.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the week's games. And if you guys watching live, if you haven't watched before, please feel free to like shout at us in the chat. Give us your input. We like to read any questions or comments off the stream chat. All right, stage 3, week 3, and I tried to make these slides as big as possible so you can actually read them on stream. But Battle for LA rematch. We got Valiant taking a pretty narrow 3-2 win over the Gladiators. I thought this was a pretty close match, and it honestly really could have gone either way at any point.
Yeah, this was super close. It really, yeah, like you said, could have gone either way. It really went the mile. And honestly, I at certain points, I really thought the Gladiators had it. But I mean, if you guys were with us last week or listened to last week's episode, we were kind of talking about this match, wondering if Valiant was for real, and kind of saying like, okay, if you beat the Gladiators, and you put up a good showing, then we know you're legit, that the Bunny trade was good, that the Custa trade was good, that these guys are actually pulling weight and that synergy is there. And this game kind of solidified it for me. You could definitely see it with Bunny, that he's just right on top of it with all of his teammates. That transition from Soul to Valiant must have been super easy for him, or maybe he's playing with friends he's scrimmed with. I don't know, but
And Custa too, I think, has been a pretty
yeah,
good pickup
Custa
for
for
them.
sure.
I think that he has kind of stepped up to fill kind of a shot calling role from that support role, which is obviously pretty needed for them. And Agility's kind of coming in with like renewed effort for stage 3, and he's been playing on fire. So I just think, Valiant's kind of the perfect storm for like really good results right now. probably not like the strongest domestic team that we have right now, but they're certainly putting up a really good showing, and I think this is definitely like their best stage to date.
Yeah, and they're definitely one of the top American teams or North American teams that we've got in the league right now for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, obviously not counting XL because yes, you're from New York, but
Right.
you're a Korean team, like. But looking at Philly, Uprising, definitely there. Houston, there are some good North American teams.
For
Valiant's
sure.
right there
For
with
sure.
them for sure. Now at this point, they are legit. They are a good team. They're definitely going to be a threat, and they might even take this stage, like just full sweep this stage at this point.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. So we got SF Shock with a pretty convincing 4-0 over Dallas Fuel. I mean, Dallas, the Fuel is an appropriate name because Dallas is a dumpster fire right now, honestly. Like you hate to see it because they were so strong coming into the league and they were so dominant of at least a domestic team in like contenders and Apex and all that stuff. But they just, are continuing to not pull it together. I will say from the bits that I saw them play in this week, it does feel like they're starting to come together a little bit, at least with they finally have a consistent front line. They've got OGE in every game. They've got Mickey in every game. So they've got their two tanks. That's what they're centered around. We're starting to see Chips and Harry Hook kind of pairing up together again. So it seems like they're at least better than they were, but that doesn't mean they're anywhere near the caliber of most of the other teams in the league.
Well, yeah, and you could definitely see, like you said, like the tanks were working better together this week. I mean, I liked watching Mickey on the playing the Winston and the Risas and kind of tanking that make tank role. I thought he was really fun to watch. He was like kind of an oddly aggressive Winston because I don't think he's insanely comfortable on that character, but it's definitely nice to see him back in his comfort zone on the Diva. He was creating a lot of space. He got a couple crazy picks that were like damn near sniping that kind of made me go, wow, dude. Like, are you maybe going to try to put up that fight with Poco again to take over top diva in the world, dude? Like, I think if anybody could do it, Mickey definitely could.
Right.
Yeah, but they were creating a lot of space for their DPS, which is something that Dallas has lacked. And I think at this point they really just need to find. They're like XL. They're pretty deep at DPS actually. Like when you look at it, because they've got AKM. They even letting go of Rascal. They still got Siegel. They've got Effect. They got Time. They got a pretty deep DPS. Well, just like XL. I think right now they just really need to figure out which two of those DPSs are going to stand out. Obviously, you got Effect on the Tracer. I think you just need to figure out that one person that's going to kind of complement him, be like his bird ring to profit, so to speak, But I think that's what they need to find in their DPS spot. I'm still waiting for their supports to kind of step up a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get into it more later on as we kind of pick apart the ongoing storm of fuel drama and problems. But Soul taken go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say this was definitely a good win for Shock. And it was great to see some synergy starting to build between Super and Sinatra and Architect.
Yeah. Architect played really well both games this week.
He had
he's
a
impressing
really good
me. So good on them. We got Seoul Dynasty taking a pretty expected 3-1 over Shanghai. I mean, it's pretty expected. There's nothing much to say there. Then we got Houston taking a 3-1 over Florida. I thought this was actually, at least in the beginning, it was a fairly close match. I feel like Florida put up a really good fight, especially Saya player. This was kind of my first introduction to seeing him play a lot. It was really cool to see him dueling Linkser on the Widow a lot, putting up some good plays on the Tracer. I do think that Jake is continuing to improve his Tracer play. But I think Saya player and Awesome Guy were just really great pickups for Florida. I think they're just playing really well, at least with, kind of the setup that they have.
Well, Saya player is like right up there with Flower and Fleta, considered one of the best widows on the planet. Like, I think right now he's definitely having the same kind of issue that a lot of the Mayhem was having at the beginning of the season, where he's getting used to that land setup. You don't have that little bit of lag that you generally have, when you're playing like on a broadband, competition stage. So that's throwing off his timing just a little bit, but you could see that those skills are still there, and it's just going to take him maybe a week or two to hone them in.
Right.
But I think give him stage 4 for sure. He is going to be one of the more frightening widows in the league. Like,
Hopefully.
I can definitely see it happening. I
Yep.
can't wait to see what Saya player can do when he's at full speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got Boston taking another win, this time over London Spitfire, 3-2, but still a win for Boston, who's on an incredible hot streak the last several weeks. And London, man, just cannot catch a break this stage. I mean, we obviously know that they're a top tier team. In my mind, probably top 3 overall. The Bergering injury kind of comes into effect that we can kind of talk about. But
I was going to say, I think this week they were definitely handicapped in the sense that their top DPSer was
yeah,
out.
it's
We're
just
not
unfortunate timing for them.
we're not exactly sure the extent of the injury. They didn't really get into that during the commentary, but they started talking about the fact that Bergering has injured his wrist playing too much Overwatch. Now the scary part is here with wrist injuries, they can be like career enders.
Yep.
Even if you come back from it, your wrist is fine, you're feeling good, your timing's not right. It's not the same. Like just that little bit can just end an esports player's career. So I hope in the best recovery. I want to see him come back. I don't want to see this throw him off. I'm hoping it's not that severe, and hopefully this week of rest is going to be good enough for that he'll be able to come back and just go back to his murderous ways.
But
But
yeah, I think at this point it's kind of fair to say London
time will
is
tell.
kind of going to have an uphill battle getting to playoffs for this stage. And it's a
Well,
shame because they've just lost a lot of close key matches that have kind
I
of
mean,
put them in a position they've never been in before.
in this stage, I think the playoffs might even be out of their reach. But I mean, now you're talking about their playoff standings. For the end of the season, are they going to be one of those top 6 even? With all these losses that they're accumulating in stage 3.
As long as they can pull things together for stage 4, I think that they'll be okay.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, if this continues through stage 4, if this slump just keeps going, because I mean, another thing that we're kind of a lot of us are glancing over and forgetting is, London is still. I know they've got coaches, but they don't have a technical head coach right now. They never rehired anybody as a head coach yet. I'm sure they've got an interim assistant that's standing in, but from what I basically gather of it, these players are kind of coaching themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's more
That's a scary concept.
well, it's more common in esports than you'd think, especially because a lot of these guys good luck finding a coach that plays better than they do. And
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I know that, but I mean, just having that mentoring system, just that outside perspective of what you're doing,
no, I agree.
it helps, dude. It helps. And I kind of think that right now, what you're really seeing with London is this outcrying that there needs to be that guidance in their, what do they call them, dugouts, locker rooms,
Yeah,
scrim rooms, whatever you want to call them. There
Um,
just needs to be that mentoring figure.
yep.
They're missing it.
So let's roll through the rest of these. New York Excel taking a 3-2 over Philly Fusion. I mean, props to the Fusion for putting up a good fight. Excel's just head and shoulders above the rest of the league. They've lost, I think, like 4 overall.
But this game was insanely close.
Yeah.
Like this, I gotta hand it to Philly. Like, I mean, honestly, if anybody was gonna step up to the plate and beat XL, I kind of thought it would be them.
And they're just a fun team to watch, right?
Yeah, they are.
Like they're
I love that
just a lot of fun to
love
watch.
it.
You couldn't ask for a guy more born to be tank than Fraggy. Like the guy looks like a tank.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun to watch.
Not sure who's hairier, him or Winston.
Yeah, I know, right?
Kind of a battle.
Okay, so then we got Philly losing again to the SF Shock, which I was a little surprised about because I would have picked Philly to come out on top in this one.
Well, this really just looked like poor planning on Philly's part, but I got to hand it to Shock for kind of taking Philly's game and shoving it in their face.
Yep.
Because they played super aggressive in this game. Like, they took it to another level that Philly hasn't even taken it to. And Philly is probably the most aggressive team in the league. And honestly, if San Francisco could just play like this for the rest of the season, they're going to look hella good by the time it's over. They shouldn't be one of the battling for the bottom anymore, but it's really going to come down to whether or not they can keep that up. This was insanely high-paced game, and I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah. Then we got Florida taking a 3-1 over Shanghai. I know that we had some discussion last week about this could have gone. There you go, man. This could have gone kind of either way. I really didn't think Shanghai had a shot. They haven't shown me anything yet that leads me to believe that they can win a game. And I mean, to be fair, I think Florida is probably like their best shot at getting a win, right? At any given week.
At this point, I really think it's Dallas, but that's just my opinion.
Dallas or Florida, like one of those teams. And again, they just kind of put up their customary one map win. I mean, you can't fault them with the language barrier, the new players and all that, but it is kind of disappointing. So hopefully
and
they can
I mean, honestly,
together.
this was their best game they've probably played all year. Like, honestly, I think if they had, like you said, a true shot at winning, it was going to be this game because they actually stepped up to the plate. I mean, honestly, if they can bring this intensity to other teams, I think they could win. I think Florida right now is just, they finally are getting that synergy. They got all their players locked in. They know what they're doing. They're starting to bounce back to where they were at the end of stage 2, and they're becoming a serious threat.
Yep. So then we got Boston taking a 2-1 over Seoul. Definitely a nice little win for them, solidifying their place. I think either at the top or near the top of the stage standings.
They're at the top of the stage standings right now.
Yeah, certainly looking like the team to beat for this stage. But we still have 2 more weeks left, so we'll see how it shakes out. London took a 3-2 over LAV. Nice to see London get a win back on the board because I do not think that they deserve to be as low in the standings as they are. I think there's just been some really close wins from their opponents, and they've just kind of gotten a little bit unlucky this stage. Then we've got, yep.
This kind of came down to, I mean, I don't know. This really came down to just the Valiant not paying attention to the payloads. I mean, they actually could have taken this if they just played the payloads, not the players. So this is kind of on Valiant. Like, this is where they need to take that step back, realize, like, look, okay, this was a game that should have been ours. We screwed up, take it as a lesson, guys, because I really think Valiant's legit. I really think they would have won this game. They had London kind of beat into submission, and there's really no reason why Valiant shouldn't have won this game, other than the fact that they just weren't playing the points. Got to stay on those points. That was Dallas's big problem this week too.
Yep. Certainly kind of Overwatch 101 right there, guys. We got New York XL taking a 3-2 over LAG. I mean, not much to say there. I mean, I think New York is going to come into any match clearly the favorite, especially over a team like Gladiators. But hats off to them for getting into a map 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, still gotta hand it to Gladiators though, dude.
Yeah, no,
I mean, they're definitely surging. They're coming up. Fisher, great addition.
Fisher's an awesome addition. One of the best pickups we've seen.
It would be arguably my best addition to a team so far.
Yeah.
Like, if any team has changed because of what they picked up, it's Gladiators. It's a night and day change.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I would lean towards maybe Saya player or Geggery, but we'll see. And then we have last game, the rematch, the Battle for Texas. Super glad to see this matchup come back. especially since we missed it in stage 2. Back in stage 1, Houston took this with a pretty easy 4-0. This time, I think this looked much, much closer than their stage 1 meeting. And I think it's a combination of the meta not really favoring Houston right now, and also I just think Dallas looks a little bit stronger than they have in the past.
Well, yeah, Dallas was definitely getting better. Like I said, that the beginning of the week breakdown, that they were improving, and that was easily to be seen. And they continue to do so with this game. So I had to hand it to them. Sorry about the chime there, guys. But yeah, you expect them to come into the Battle of Texas and want to bring a strong game. So just lock Houston out even in a draw. That's pretty good. A couple of these maps, they were pretty close to winning. Like I said, they had serious C9 problems the whole week.
Yeah.
But I mean, they definitely improved their play style. In fact, my play of the week comes out of Dallas this week. So
Yeah, I was actually really impressed with AKM seemed to match up pretty well with Linkster on the Widowmaker duels. I thought that was really cool of him to kind of step up. Linkster kind of was winning in the beginning, and then AKM kind of came back and had a couple of streaks there. So it was a nice fight by them, and certainly a really entertaining game. Definitely want to check out, guys. But yeah, let's roll into some of the news from the week. Let's go over standings real quick.
You don't want to go into play of the week real quick? And
Yeah, that's fine. We can do play of the week.
do you have a play of the week? I do, and I'm super excited about this one.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Mine is Taimu on Widowmaker versus the Shock. And I never give props to the field, so this is why I'm excited about it. And he was on Junkertown during their attack. The rip tire was coming out of the Shock. Dante had just let it go, and it looked like it was going to wipe the entire. And he just turns around like nothing and snipes that thing right out of the air, saving his entire team on point A. They managed to push the car all the way to the end before everybody got off the cart and overtime expired. But I mean, it was that one play that really kind of saved the Dallas's run against the Shock on that particular map. Because had that wiped everybody, they weren't going to have enough time to make another push. So hats off to Taimu, my play of the week. Like, that was just ridiculously cool. Saving your team, man. Sniping a tire, which is not easy to do.
No, definitely not.
As a guy who plays Widow, I can tell you it is not easy to do. So super cool play, dude. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see Taimu getting a little bit of confidence back. If you go back and look at some of his earlier plays from contenders, like, the guy can definitely step up to the plate when he needs to. And there's kind of some theories that maybe he's lost his confidence a little bit and is kind of playing with hesitation. So it's good to see him kind of step up. So now we've got these are the updated standings. These are the stage standings, not the overall season standings. But Boston Uprising on a 10-match win streak. They're currently 6-0 for the stage. LA and New York coming in at 5-1 afterwards. Boston has a chance to go undefeated this stage, which would be pretty crazy, and I think unprecedented. And then San Francisco Shock actually in 4th, which is kind of surprising to me given some of their performance in the last couple of stages. But they're certainly playing well. And we'll kind of see how it goes from there. One thing that I think is super interesting, and this is kind of mirrored in the entire season standings, these teams in the middle of the pack, like they're all just like one win separating each other, and like the map differentials are super, super close. So you have one, even two like key matches flip the other way, and that middle of the pack looks completely different. And it's kind of a testament to how competitive this league is, that you have teams like Seoul Dynasty, teams like London Spitfire, teams like Houston that don't really seem to be like 6th place, 9th place, etc. teams, and they're down like towards the bottom. And it's just super interesting.
But come on, man, hats off to the Shock for being in that top four right now.
No,
Like, who expected that?
I'm shocked. No pun
Yeah,
intended.
serious.
But yeah, definitely well on them, and we'll kind of go for the looking at next week's schedule and kind of see. Hopefully, they have a good schedule and they can kind of keep up that momentum because it's certainly serving them well so far.
Definitely.
And if they can keep up this performance, it'll definitely serve them well going into the season playoffs after Stage 4. All right, but let's take a look at some news from the week. So this was an interesting bit I found on Unicorn. Basically, Nate Nanzer, the Overwatch League commissioner, was kind of giving an interview talking about what we're going to focus on in Season 2 is making sure we're taking steps to schedule matches regardless of where they happen so that they're at a time that's better for Europe and Asia. The broadcast times have not been great for European fans this year, and we're looking to rectify that to the best of our ability in Season 2. Now, obviously, for Season 1, all of the teams live in LA, all the matches are played out of LA. So it's all going to be kind of Pacific Central Time, Pacific Centered Time, rather. It kind of makes sense to want to kind of have this sort of global audience all have accessibility to the matches they want to watch. But I mean, I think you were saying earlier, like you just can't please everybody.
I mean, that's just a simple fact. Like, you can't make everybody happy with it. It's like, the world is round. Sorry, all those flat earth believers over there, but yes, it's round, and we're not all living in the same time zone. That's just a simple fact. Like, so it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, like, honestly, the games at Pacific time aren't great for me. I live in Florida. I'm watching games till 1 in the morning, because that's when I'll start some, and that's how long they run to. So, I mean, realistically, there's no way to please everybody. I mean, I like the fact that I get home from work, at 7 or whatever, and the games are starting. So that's kind of nice. But like I said, I don't like the fact that they run till 1 or 2 in the morning, depending on, if some teams stretch to map fives or whatever. And I can only imagine what it's like in Asia and Europe. But I mean, the reality of it is the great part about, Overwatch League is I'm not going to stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning. I'm just going to watch that VOD tomorrow when I got time.
Exactly.
Like, you can watch it later. You can watch whenever. So, I mean, yeah, I can understand the feelings that, it sucks. You're not watching this live because maybe it's on at like, 1 in the afternoon or something where you are, or it's 1 in the morning or wherever, but having that freedom to just watch things whenever, like, that definitely makes things nice. That it's at your convenience. That I wish my football games during, the fall and the spring were like that, and I could just always, it's whenever it's convenient for me.
Right.
But that's not the way those things work. This is the first time I've been involved in any kind of sports thing where I can literally just watch it at my convenience. I love that.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering like how long before they charge you like the Overwatch version of like the NFL Sunday ticket, right? Where it's like you got to pay $200 for like all access
To watch all the premium matches.
Exactly.
Like they show one a day or something,
like
for free.
they've
but
already
then
done
you
like
have
the
to pay
all
for it.
access pass, so we'll kind of see how it goes. But I mean, I think at least from like a brand building and like an audience building perspective, I mean, this is only gonna be a good move for them. And I think that especially if they're going to be doing home and away games with, teams like Florida traveling to Seoul or whatever, I don't know how it's going to work, but I think you kind of have to have some flexibility in that schedule. And so thankfully, for right now, at least we do have those free VODs to fall back on. So hopefully if you're a fan of a certain team that's outside your time zone, you're not going to be kind of like royally screwed. But,
Well, and I mean that's another thing to consider too. We've talked about the possibility that there will be home and away games next season, but I mean I think a lot of people aren't taking in the big picture of the logistics of all of this, because you're dealing with passports, you're dealing with clearances to move through these countries on a weekly basis. Like that's rough. I don't even know if they'll be able to pull this off, like do an actual league thing where they're go. I mean, it's going to be crazy if they do.
Don't quote me on this, but I think one of the things that I read was it's not going to be like you're in Seoul one week, then you're in China one week, then you're in like you're not zipping around all over the place. I think what I read was like you're going to kind of have like a series of games in one region, then a series of games in another region.
Well, yeah, I would imagine that. Like you would probably play Shanghai and Seoul, and together they're pretty close, relatively speaking, in the same region of Asia. If like Berlin got a team, and let's say Paris had a team,
Yeah.
you would probably play those with London. Yeah, that's pretty standard, and that's kind of the way I figured too. And most likely, I would imagine that like you're probably gonna play your entire week's games against that one particular team.
Right.
Like right now, they're playing a couple teams a week. I would imagine you'll probably see 2 games against the same 2 teams. In season 2, I don't know. Again, the logistics of I don't think everybody's taken into the big picture yet. I mean, I'm even not comprehending it all. This is going to be a goddamn nightmare for whoever's covering this crap and doing schedules for season 2.
I mean, I'm sure they'll figure it
that
out.
person's job. I'm sure they'll figure it out, but it's going to suck to be that person.
I mean, one of the beneficial things for them, at least on the organizational side, is that Overwatch League is not one of these esports that's like year round or like 9 months long or whatever. It's it's based like January to May, so it's more appropriate for like a normal sports season length. So I think they're gonna have an ample amount of time in the off season to kind of figure that out. So, I mean, I think for how ambitious of a project this is, things have worked out remarkably well in season 1. And we'll just kind of see how it goes from here. All right, let's move on. So another interesting little tidbit, the jersey supplier for the Overwatch League is finally providing customization options. So now you can get your favorite team jersey with your player tag on the back, your number, whatever you want. How much are the starter jerseys again? Like 60? No, wait, 80.
Well, okay. They're $60 if they're just a plain jersey.
Okay.
Player ones are 70. I
So
think the customizable ones are also 70.
Oh no, the custom ones are 100.
Oh, they're 100?
And it's just like, damn, man. Like that's why I was asking, because it's like you're paying $40 for customization here.
Pretty much, yeah.
That to me is a little crazy. And again, as a textiles guy, like I hate the starter jerseys. Like I want the authentic style. And so it's like I would pay 100 if I could customize an authentic one.
I would definitely pay 100 for an authentic one,
yeah. But like that,
like probably even just to get a player one, I'd pay 100. But
that's ridiculous, especially because like those are probably gonna be heat seals. Those are gonna crack. Those are gonna peel. Like that's a little rough to me. So hopefully they can kind of get their ducks in a row with the authentic jerseys and get those kind of rolled out. But it's cool. It's a cool option.
I'm also hoping that they're going to announce that the authentic jerseys are going to be available to players soon.
Me too, man.
They've got them out, but they don't have player ones yet. And I mean, it's like I'm not going to mention names, but I was talking to a friend that I didn't want to buy a jersey until they had the player one out.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, definitely, dude. Like he's hoping that they'll be out soon. So
yep.
We'll see.
Alrighty. So wanted to kind of dig into a couple of different things kind of related to behind the scenes stuff with the Dallas Fuel. So last week when we had kind of checked in with Dallas, the big news was they had announced the release of their DPS Rascal and their head coach, Kyle Sauter, aka Kai. And one thing that I wanted to start off with is we do have a little bit of kind of a peek into the Rascal situation from the man himself. There was a lot of kind of back and forth when this news kind of dropped. People were saying that Rascal was toxic. He was, refusing to cooperate with the team. He was hard to talk to, hard to work with. There was a big feud between him and AKM. And kind of nobody was really sure what the real story was. Not saying this is the real story, but this is kind of a little bit of an excerpt from Rascal's stream. So he had said basically why I was released from Dallas Fuel in general. The reason was that I wasn't able to harmonize with the team. That's probably the biggest one. Communication issues, working with the team. Some people are saying I was advocating for, kind of a right way to do things and that Dallas wouldn't accept my viewpoint. But to be honest, it's not just one side's problem. I can say that very definitively. In Dallas, I don't think I can say that I was a very good teammate, so I want to say sorry to them. Now, right off the bat, one thing I think we got to call out that's super cool is this is a very mature statement. Like, this is very, I cop to my faults, saying that there were faults on both sides, and it just was not a productive situation. Like, it just was not a good fit.
Well, and it's like totally like the opposite of what XQC did when he left. He basically blamed Dallas for all of his problems and was like, oh, they just sucked. They didn't like me. They didn't want me. I mean, at least that's what he was like on his stream. I know he tried to be a little more professional than that, but like, dude, hats off to Rascal for this, because like, damn, this was just owning it. This is like, no, I was the problem. Like, I wasn't a good teammate. Like, I wasn't trying to force my views, but I wasn't communicating well. I wasn't playing well.
And I don't think he's necessarily saying like I was causing problems, but just more like it wasn't a good fit and I didn't really synergize well with the team.
Yeah, and he's just owning it. I mean, that's awesome. Not
Yep.
a lot of players do that in any pro anything.
Yep.
Like, they're always quick to blame coaching staff, or it was problems with a GM, or it was this other player over here. Like, this is, I mean, I was really proud of him, because this is the first time you really see that person just step up, own the problem. It was me. I'm a bad teammate. That's all it really boiled down to. And I'm sorry. Like, that was the best part. He actually apologized. It's like, not even so much like this was meant to solve the world's issue of like, okay, Rascal, why were you let go? Like, it's not even answering that question. It's like, this was all really just his way of just saying, dude, I'm sorry, guys. I let you down.
Well, and I think it definitely bodes well for like future career opportunities for him, because it's like, hey, I'm big enough to admit that like there were faults on both sides. I think we all kind of know that Dallas is certainly not a perfect organization, but that Rascal was able to say like, hey, I had some fault in this too. We kind of parted, it just wasn't working out. And, hopefully we can see him again in Overwatch League Season 2. I think I heard he's going back to Korea, and he's either going to just scrim or stream, or he's going to try and get on like a Korean team for Apex or something in the offseason.
Yeah, I heard he was going back to Apex and, stuff like
Which
that.
I think is great.
At least he'll be near his family, friends and stuff. So, I mean, that's good for him.
Yep.
I'm not going to give him a hard time. If he comes back to Overwatch League, I'll be thrilled. I loved him. I mean, like I said, he was an amazing tracer. He was amazing May. Like, probably best in the league as far as popping those walls and splitting teams. Like, nobody did it like Rascal.
Yep.
I miss the guy. I'd love to see him come back. So, maybe in another season or so, maybe we'll see him come back, but we'll see.
Yep, definitely. So the next thing I kind of wanted to touch on was some stuff that XQC had said in his stream chat. And I think, it's off the cuff, take it with a grain of salt, but I think it's very interesting because it kind of gives us a little bit of a peek into kind of behind the curtain. And he was kind of talking about his time on the Fuel and kind of what he noticed could be argued as kind of some of their biggest problems. And I thought this was really interesting. He said, I think the success of the players in the past, referring to their time in Apex and Contenders where they actually won a Contenders title, I think the success of the players in the past made them immune to improvement. From my perspective, Kai didn't want to be too intrusive and bossy about his guidance and stuff. The family and history aspect holds them back. A lot of criticism was backpedaled from, and they were defensive. And this, for me, like, I can believe this. This is a team that has been together probably longer than any other in the Overwatch League. They're going on like 2 years together with the majority of this roster. And coming into this league, and I've heard this from XQC, I've heard this a little bit from Custa, and from a number of different people, that this team was just so used to winning off of their mechanical skill alone that they don't know how to lose. Like, they don't know how to take a loss and say, okay, what did we do? What can we do better? How can we improve?
But see, this is why I go back and I say that I think Florida is doing better than Fuel, because they're kind of in the same boat next to Envious and what Fuel was before being the Fuel. Um, they're like the second longest team that's been together, and they have a lot of history, European Contenders League and all that kind of stuff. They won a lot of games there. They did really well. They brought that to Overwatch League and they got their butts handed to them, because everybody knew it. And it really took them getting out of their comfort zone, trying new strategies, and adapting to the play style that is the Overwatch League. It's different than what they're used to. I think they're doing it better than the Fuel is. I think, obviously some of these new additions with Awesome Guy and Side Player and stuff is helping. But even just looking at the core group and what they were doing at the end of stage 2, they were getting it. They were advancing past that rut and getting out of that like spot that was just holding them back. Kind of like what XQC is saying here, that immune to improvement zone. Like they've moved out of that. And I really think that that's why the Fuel doesn't have the momentum that the Mayhem has to go forward and at least put up a decent record by the time the season ends. They're not going to the playoffs. Neither of these teams are, but I mean, they have a better chance of at least putting up a decent fight. I see them like the Shock. They have a good chance to rebound right now. I don't see that with the Fuel unless they can figure some stuff out.
Yeah, and it kind of seems from a lot of these like behind the scenes statements with, egos clashing and people just not taking criticism well, lack of authority. It really just seems like there's a lot of kind of mental, emotional, and maturity hurdles kind of in the way for this team. And it just feels like they need to find a way to fix some of those things. And to me, it almost seems like it's such a serious problem and seemingly so ingrained that you're only going to fix it by basically rebuilding your roster or like getting rid of like half your roster.
Definitely.
So definitely some interesting words from XQC. But kind of taking me by surprise, woke up this morning and another Dallas Fuel incident hit the airwaves. Taimu was apparently hospitalized. He was supposed to stream yesterday evening, I believe. And he just had some numbness, some tingling, just like a massive panic attack. Went to urgent care and they say he might actually have a stroke. So he went to the ER, he got a CAT scan, all this crazy shit. And at the end of it, the result is his brain's fine. He doesn't have a stroke, nothing serious. It was a massive panic attack brought on by stress. And I believe the quote was extreme stress with a migraine. And I think this just is further evidence, like further speculation of what kind of a negative team environment that Team House has got to be.
Well, it's not only just the Team House. I mean, I think that's definitely adding to it. But I mean, look at Pine. Pine is going through the same thing.
Yeah.
I know that Logic's part of, his sitting out that week, not feeling well, was a bit of anxiety. I think he felt a bit pressured because he had been playing, considerably better the last few weeks. I think he was kind of in a similar boat as Pine, like, all these expectations of greatness and just trying to live up to it. It gets a bit overwhelming. Taimu is another great player. I would arguably say he's one of their better DPSs. He's freaking awesome on, his ability to flex on the Roadhog. His hooks are probably the most accurate in the league. I mean, he's a good player, and I think a lot rides on these guys' shoulders. I think the league in itself is, mentally damaging, emotionally stressing. And it's just hard to get through, and it's definitely showing how much these guys are taking that toll, and it's really getting to him. And he's not the first player to be dealing with this. Dia had to take time off, go back to China, and get his head right. Um, and a lot of players are dealing with it, especially on the teams that are struggling. Pine, I obviously they're not struggling, but just having that weight of like
The
everybody
pressure.
calling them the big boss, dude, and like he's got to come in on those control zones and just destroy everybody. That's hard to live up to when you got to do that every game.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I don't know about you, but I have my damn off days in Overwatch where I just cannot hit a shot to save my life.
Yep.
Like, and then I have days where I'm popping off and I go crazy and I kill 5 of them in 10 seconds. I don't even know what I did. You have off days. People do.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's not ideal. You should know what you did to get multi
No,
kills.
yeah. See that's why I'm bronze trash, because I'm sitting there going like, wait, I just do, like, how do I do that again? But
Totally, man.
yeah, like these guys, they're gonna have off days. They're gonna have a lot of stress. They're dealing with a lot. They got fans riding on. Timey's got a sponsor. He's one of those few teams with a sponsor. I'm sure those sponsors are like, hey, we want to see wins.
Right.
We don't want to be
exactly.
sponsoring a losing team.
Yeah. Jack in the Box demands nothing but the best performance.
Yeah, you want that cheeseburger money, you got to go out and perform, man.
Nom 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 nom. But yeah, so just some other random things. Effect had a tweet last week where he basically just said, like, if things don't change, he's just gonna leave. And actually today we found out that he has flown back to Korea, so he's actually gonna take like a week, maybe 2 off, and just kind of get his head straight in Korea. Seeing him kind of shaking hands with Houston after their last match this week, he especially looked really, really down. And we all know how much this guy practices. Like, he does, I think, like 2 hours of aim trainer before he even boots up Overwatch in the morning. The guy is just ridiculously dedicated.
Well, and like I said last week, I really expected that, like, come the Battle of Texas, this week, that they were just going to get so thrashed that he was going to come out and just have this epic meltdown. Granted, I think he staved off the meltdown, but obviously it's resulting in serious stress of some sort, because he's got to take some time off. He's, again, one of many players at this point that's needing to take some time off.
Right.
It's kind of making me go, okay, in football they do a bye week. I know they do similar things in baseball, basketball, so on and so on. You need that
actually a
kind
good
of
idea.
These players, these teams, they, and it doesn't matter what sport you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's esports, real sports. Like, you need that time off. You need that break just to recharge. Could take a few days. Like, that's what worked for Pine, dude. He took a couple days. He went to New York. He saw the sights, had some fun, got his head back right. He was good to go. He's been great ever since he's come back to stage 3. Sometimes that's all it takes. Dia, same thing. Went back to China, got his head straight, had some fun. He's back. He's playing better than he ever has.
Now, keeping in mind that they do get a week off in between stages, do you then think there should be a bye week, like, during the stages?
Well, maybe do it that way, like, just to make it fair for everybody, because I know that's, like, in football, that's one of those things that a lot of teams harp about, is like where their bye week is. Some teams, you get it really early. I think they start them at like week 4 or 5 in the football season, and you can get them as late as like week 12 or 13 out of a 18-week season. So, that's a big window. You could get it in the middle. You could get it at the beginning. You could get it at the end. If you do a break that's like an extended one, maybe between stages 2 and 3, and instead of doing like a week, do maybe like 2 weeks, or something like that. Just give all those players just an extended week. Go out there, go home, go visit your families, go see your friends, get your mind back. Don't lose your crap, and come back and play some Overwatch. I think it would help out.
Yeah, for sure. Effect, buddy, we hope you're doing okay, and we look to see you back real soon. I think people definitely know and appreciate the effort he puts in, and he's definitely, people kind of sleep on Effect a little bit, but he's definitely one of the top tier tracers and DPSers overall.
Definitely. He's really been carrying through a lot of this stage. So, I mean, honestly, this is really just going to hurt them. I mean, it sucks. Like, you can pretty much rack Dallas up as like you're probably not going to get a win because your best tracer player has just left the country for the rest of the stage. Um, but yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know how Dallas will even fill that void for the next couple weeks. But hopefully, it'll be good for him. He'll be able to come back, finish out stage 4 really, really good. Give a good performance because he is a good tracer. He's amazing. He's one of those few players that wears his heart on his sleeve, plays with his emotions.
He's a good guy. Like you want him to get some wins.
Yeah,
sure.
I want to see some wins for because honestly, going into the league, I mean, I kind of same tier as Prophet. Like I saw Prophet and Effect kind of at that same level of tracer play. So I mean, and my opinion of him really hasn't changed. I think the big mistake that has been on Effect is letting that emotion get too in the way. It's good to play with emotion, get mad, and go out there and just get some kills because you're pissed. But it's another thing to let that just get too far, and then you're just making a big old mess for your team that they can't mop up.
Yep. I think it would be actually kind of fun if one of these episodes we did like a tracer power ranking, like kind of.
We should totally do
like a 1 through 12 of like your top tracers. We'll take a look at that for next time.
I was gonna say next week. That's our topic. There you go. Top tracers.
All right, but we've talked about Fuel for like 40 minutes now. Let's move on. Boston Uprising, and more specifically, this man Stanislav Mistakes Danilov, and I probably butchered the hell out of that. Sorry, buddy. At least I got the name Mistakes correctly. But I want to point out this quote from Twitch chat, which Twitch chat is a cesspool. Like, let's be honest here. But sometimes there is a diamond that you get out of Twitch chat. And absolutely in this case, during their latest matches this week, they were spamming, "Dream was the mistake, mistakes is the dream."
Exactly. And it's like the truest thing you could ever freaking hear, right? Like, oh, this guy makes Dream Casper look so bad, it's not even funny. Like, it kind of makes you wonder why he was even on the bench. Like, I don't know, was Boston going for an epic finish and going to bring in Mistakes just like towards the end of stage 4 to show, hey, we got even better DPSers?
But if you think about it, like everybody was saying, like Dream Casper, one of the best DPSers in the league, people were saying he was hard carrying Boston, that he was the backbone of their successes.
I've never said that. I mean, Boston is stacked with talent. Granted, they weren't a team before they were a team now, but they have some incredible players. And, I mean, pretty much every role. I mean, like I said, I can't say it enough. Gamsu, Striker. I love those two guys. I think they're some of the best in their league, at their particular characters. They've got strong supports. Kellex, arguably right up there with Arc as one of the better Mercies in the league. I mean, I think the only reason I would give Arc a slight edge is because Arc isn't afraid to pull out that gun and just waste somebody.
Right.
Kellex is a little more pulled back on that. Doesn't quite pull out the Battle Mercy so carefree as Arc does. But I think really that's the only advantage Arc has over Kellex as far as Mercy play.
And it just the whole situation kind of begs the question, what is going on behind the scenes with these teams and how are these rosters kind of decided? Now, obviously, heroes' strengths and weaknesses and the maps that are going to be played obviously play a role in that. But all other things being equal, like obviously Mistakes and Dream Casper have a lot of overlap in their hero pool. And so it makes me kind of wonder, if I'm NYXL and I'm winning every single match, then it's like, okay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But Boston wasn't exactly a number one team. They were kind of on the rise. They were looking like a strong mid-tier team. And it's like, maybe you bring in your subs for like one map. And this is why I'm really curious at the end of the season, just how many kind of matchups are going to be decided by map differential, because so many of these teams, I think there's like a total of like 6 players now that have been on teams since before the season started that still have yet to play a single minute of playtime. And these are professional players. I talk about Mendo Kusai on Overwatch almost every single week. You got Joe Meister on Philadelphia Fusion, a great support.
IDD Cutie on Shock.
IDD Cutie. And it makes you wonder, like, if I'm in a match, I'm on map 4 and I've got a 3-0, I'm guaranteed the win. Why would you not like try out these players?
Yeah, just try it. You might as well.
And I mean,
what's the worst that could happen? You're gonna lose a map point. You know,
I'm assuming they play them in scrims and like there's a reason. You know, I'm obviously not a coach. Like I don't have that kind of knowledge, game knowledge, but it just makes me wonder, like as a fan and a viewer, like where would Boston be if they had tried out mistakes like 3 months ago?
That's a great question. I know that in some cases, like EQO, you know, like he kind of came out of nowhere. He was riding
Snillo.
Philly's bench. EQO was not like a mid-season pickup. He was on Philly's team the entire time. He was just sitting there on the bench and nobody knew about him. You know, and it turned out that particular week, at scrims, he was doing better than Shadowburn. They decided to put him in. You know, Logix and Tavik right now being subbed out with Saya player. Saya player and Tavik and Logix kind of swapping in and out. Swoosh, you know, awesome guy is playing better right now than Swoosh was. Swoosh was playing a little bit more tentative. Awesome guy is a little bit more aggressive. I think that's what the team needs. So yeah, they're going with awesome guy right now instead of Swoosh. I think Swoosh will pick it up, and I think we'll see Swoosh come back for some maps here and there. But he's not there right now. You know, I know that, you know, with the Logix Tavik thing, getting back to that, Tavik has a little bit more flexibility than Logix does on certain characters. He can play a mean Junkrat. He could play a wicked Genji. I mean, he's like Libero and Fleto, where he's just kind of the Swiss Army knife of characters.
Right.
Tavik or Logix is a very good Tracer player. He's a great Widow. He's a good McCree. But he's got a smaller character pool that he's comfortable with on the league's level. So when they need that flexibility to just kind of bounce around and don't necessarily maybe need a Tracer, like they're gonna go with Tavik. But if they hard need a Tracer, they're gonna go with Logix because he's a better, Tracer player than Tavik.
Sure.
Tavik is okay, but I know in some cases there's that going on. It's the maps and the comps that the teams want to play. But like you said with Mendo, dude, there's really no freaking excuse anymore with that. Like, Jake, you have improved insanely on Tracer. Please take that, because honestly, this week you were popping the hell off compared to the way you've been playing Tracer.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Over like the last age and a half. I was insanely impressed with. He has made strides and bounds on his Tracer play. Like, he went to toe-to-toe with some of the better Tracers in the league this week, and stood his ground, won a few duels. I was happy for him, but Mendo is a hard Tracer player, and I can't understand why Houston isn't just taking that shot. They get up 3-0 a lot, and like you said, there's nothing
just
to lose.
One map,
from
man.
That
like
map.
just one
give
map.
It a shot. What's to lose? Just do it. Give it a shot.
It's not even like football where it's like, let me put in this guy for one play and he might like get his leg broken. It's like,
but even then you do see that in football, because you get into that fourth quarter, you're up by 20 points, you're down to 5 minutes. That team's not going to score 3 touchdowns in 5 minutes.
Right.
So, what do? You pull Tom Brady out, you let, Hoyer go in there, do his thing. Is he going to score touchdowns? No, but he's not going to let the other team win. So you might as well give him some play time.
Your Patriots analogy is appropriate because we're talking about Robert Kraft's team.
You're welcome, bro.
There you go, man. So yeah, I mean, Boston is 6-0 right now. So can they go the distance and finish the 10-0? That would be pretty sick. So definitely a team to watch. Highly encourage you guys to check out both of Boston's matches this weekend.
And
Um,
definitely watch mistakes. Just you will have a blast watching mistakes. You will forget all about Dreamcast for watching mistakes.
yeah, I was actually gonna say I think that he has in the last 2 weeks basically collectively wiped Dreamcasper from like the memory of every Boston fan. Like
Yeah,
there was a lot of people worried. They were like, this guy is like a big carry for us. Like, what are we gonna do? And we got this untested guy coming in, and now it's like, Dream who? What?
yeah. No, he's definitely Bob Kraft's Tom Brady of Overwatch League. Yeah, the next man up that's gonna take that and just run with it and do great things. So
Yeah, absolutely.
more power to you, mistakes. Keep it up, dude.
Yeah,
Uh, there's no doubt from us that you're the real deal, bro. You're gonna take this team far.
real strong showing so far. Okay, so let's kind of shift gears a little bit. We've talked about the fuel, oh my God, extensively in the past couple of weeks. So we're pretty
Yeah.
familiar with them. But like I was saying earlier in the podcast, we've got a really kind of close group kind of in the middle. All these teams kind of like one win away from each other. And then we have Dallas, Shanghai, and Florida perpetually kind of at the bottom of the league in both the stages and the season overall.
Yeah, but like I said, going back to Florida, and I know I've been kind of brushing on that throughout the show here tonight, but they're one game down on Dallas. You
And
look at their
and that's
map
the truth.
differential, it's 9 points. They could actually take this in the next week or two, flip it around, be above Dallas without a problem, especially with Effect not playing. I mean, that's just going to hurt Dallas that much more. I mean, they might have been okay if Rascal stood on with Effect going back, but dude, they don't have a tracer anymore. They don't. I mean,
Well,
what are you going to do? You're going to put Siegel out there and hope that he can be a good tracer? I mean,
Well, I sure hope they put him on Tracer and not like a tank again. Like let the guy play the role that he's good at. But I think the interesting thing here is if Florida actually does manage to kind of flip those standings and overtake Dallas, then if you're on Dallas, it's suddenly like, oh shit, guys, like we're literally only ahead of Shanghai. And you got to wonder if the mental on that team goes boom even more than it has already.
well, like I said, I think the big difference with the Florida Mayhem and Dallas is that Florida is in that spot where, I think the addition of Ryder was really good too. I think that's another one of those additions that's kind of not being talked about and should. Ryder is an amazingly good coach, and what he's done since he's joined the Mayhem has been incredible. I mean, he's turned this team that was having comm issues and, bad strategies and weird compositions of teams and, all this stuff. He's kind of made it into this flowing organism. I mean, you listen to the commentators and they'll tell you flat out, Florida has the cleanest comm channels out of any team in the league. That one person will
And
say,
that goes a long way.
bottom corner, monkey. They're not shouting at each other the whole time. They're keeping those comms clear. Yeah, and that is insanely important
Super
because you
important.
don't have everybody yelling at once. You're not trying to listen to 6 different people. You can hear your shot calls. You know who you need to be aiming at. You know where they are. They're not even just shouting out monkey. They're telling you where that monkey is too. That's how clean their comms are right now. So that's an insane advantage that Florida has that Dallas doesn't. They're moving forward. Dallas is moving backwards.
Yep. And I think that especially with the addition of Awesome Guy and Saya Player, like I'm not gonna say that like Swoosh and kind of Tavik and Logix were necessarily a weakness. Because they aren't, but at least now they have some flexibility where it's like, hey, Swoosh isn't playing so great this week. Let's put an Awesome Guy. We can kind of flip things around. Because when we started this season, Florida was the only team that had just 6 players. They had no subs. They just had one single roster.
Yeah, and I mean, all those players were solid. I mean, the great part about the Saya player edition is now it's not just like, okay, we got this great player now. No, you have 3 amazing DPSers, like the arguably some of the better DPSers in the league. I mean, look at their stats. Even Tavik, one of the most accurate DPSers out of anybody playing right now. In fact, he took the top for accuracy with McCree last stage. I mean, you kind of look at that and be like, what?
Yeah,
Florida's
people
not
kind
doing
of
well, but
forget
they are
sometimes how good
good.
Tavik is.
Tavik is amazingly good.
Right.
Logic's amazingly good. Saya player, a widow god. I mean,
And I think Sabiobi has actually pointed out on more than one occasion that to him the most difficult tracer to play against is Logix.
oh yeah, yeah. You listen to SBB, and he does nothing but praise Logix about how good Logix is. Logix is exact same way. You ask him who his opinion best tracer is, he's going to tell you SBB. I mean, they're very, 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 very good players. I mean, honestly, I see Florida kind of taking that page from XL, going, okay, XL's just stacked. They're in every department. They have their subs are good. They got Flowers sitting on the bench. He's not even gonna play this year, but he's gonna come in next year and he's just gonna wreck shit. I mean, I'm hoping next year at the end of the thing when they do like the All-Star weekend or whatever that they do, that there's gonna be like this widow battle between Flower, Fleta, and Saya. Like, I just want to see that. Those three guys
just
all on Widow.
like a free for all death match on Widow.
Oh god, that'd be insane, dude.
On like Chateau.
Yeah,
That would be sick.
be insane. I would
Yeah,
love to see that, dude.
That would be sick.
But Florida's just getting stacked, dude. They got really good players on all fronts, even on their bench right now. I mean, everybody's looking at Zappis as kind of the weak link on Florida right now. And I don't even see that. Zappis is an amazingly good flex tank player. From before Overwatch League, he's really good. I think he's again adjusting to that land system now that they're playing on. But dude, he's still a great player. I mean, everybody on his team is amazing now, and I think that they're finally getting that synergy. They're finally getting those strategies. They're getting those compositions locked in. They're getting that system. They're kind of they got their own big boss in Logic now, where like, let's bring this guy in. He's just gonna dude. Did you see the last game that they played this week where Logix comes in on the last map, goes 23-0?
Whew. That's crazy.
I mean,
no, I
how
didn't
the
catch
hell
that
do you
game.
even do that?
Yeah, no, it's nuts, man. It's nuts.
On Route 66.
So I think that out of these three kind of teams that are a little bit of a tier below everybody else in the standings, I think that out of these three, Florida is certainly best equipped to kind of move out of this pit. Having said that, I'm not convinced that it is guaranteed. I'm still waiting for them to string a couple of wins together, but I love the players. I love the org. I love to root for these guys. So I do hope that they can kind of find that secret sauce to kind of tie it all together and start stringing some wins together. And at least they are trending in the right direction, right? Where they're not, I mean, you look at Dallas, they started with, headlining week 1 of stage 1 up against Seoul Dynasty, just like down to the wire, like one of the best matches we had that stage. And now they've kind of like faltered and lost their way. And so at least Florida started out kind of worse and have kind of gotten better over time.
Yeah, like I would liken them to like the Jacksonville Jaguars, They weren't so good, but they're doing a lot better, Yep. But yeah, like I obviously they're not going to make the playoffs this year. That's not going to happen. They're not going to be a top seeded team. I know that. I'm realistic, but I think that going into season 2, they're going to be a lot. I think by the end of the season they will at least be a solid team, and they could be a possible upset team for some of these teams that are trying to get in the playoffs. Like they could come out of nowhere and pull wins from you that you thought you were going to get because, hey, you're playing Florida, and then no, you're playing Florida, dude.
Forgetting for a second all the potential like up and coming players from contenders or like the underage players that haven't hit 18 yet, just going off of the players currently on OWL teams. Going into season 2, is there anybody that you would drop from Florida or pick up from another team for this roster?
Honestly, I think that their best play right now would be to somehow try to trade for Pine in the offseason. With Flower coming up and going to be playing in season 2, I think Messi was on to something last week. He was saying that Pine could be up for a trade. I've given a serious amount of thought to this. Like, it's been on my mind all week of like, Jesus, Messi was right, dude. Like, if Pine doesn't quit because of anxiety and depression issues at the end of the season, which I still think is a serious possibility, and he decides to play another season, I don't think he'll be playing with the XL. I expect to see him on another team. They do have Saya player who's a great widow, and he's pretty decent on some of the other characters. But I think bringing in a guy like Pine, who's a serious McCree main, and has the ability to flex onto some of those characters as well. I think he could be kind of like an ace up the mayhem sleeve. To bring in, I think he could round out their DPS pool a little bit. Like maybe team him up with Tavik and Logic's Messiah player, and just swap out the DPS duos. Let them just get that synergy. They're always going to be playing together. I think that would be an awesome pickup from Florida. Dallas needs to pick up anybody who will freaking go to Dallas. Shanghai the same way. Like, honestly, dude, like, seriously, I don't know what else to say. I seriously think that Shanghai needs support help big time. I've got nothing against you altering, and I think it's fearless.
Free feel.
That do their support. You guys have been playing your hearts out and you've been giving it your best, but I really still think that the weak link in Shanghai is their supports. I don't know if the Overwatch Contenders Academy thing that they're doing is there's any help there for you. Maybe you can find some supports to help, but I think that that's what you need to do in the offseason is look at your supports, build on this energy between your tanks. I like what I'm seeing out of Gaguri right now, and Fearless. They're playing strong. They're starting to work together. They're starting to open up space for Ado and Dia. That was a definite, like, you could see that change coming into this week. I think, like, honestly, we could actually be looking at Shanghai's first win in the early weeks of stage 4 if the meta continues to play in their favor.
I mean, they're running out of chances, right? They've got.
I've looked at their schedule for the next 2 weeks. I don't see it happening right now.
They've got 14 matches left, and
going into the early parts of stage 4, they do have a slightly softer moment in their schedule where they play Dallas and stuff. And I really think that if they can get their crap together, just get the supports working together better and working with the tanks better. I don't know if it's a language barrier. I don't know what, but
I'm
right
sure
now,
that's part of it.
I'm sure it's part of it. But right now, there's just not that working together. Those two, parts of a team have to work in complete synergy.
Yep.
Your DPS, you can kind of let them go off and do their own thing, but the tanks and the supports have to work together.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just don't see it happening right now. You've got to get some supports in there that can help out.
It blows my mind that Shanghai, not only the fact that they're winless, but their map record is 12-93. They have a negative 81 map differential, and the crazy part is Florida is the next highest at almost half of that, negative 44.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you look at Florida, the next step up, and it's like half of there. It's just insane.
Like, Florida has won 5 matches more than Shanghai's 0, and they've won 31 maps as opposed to Shanghai's 12, and they're in second to last place. Like, the bottom 3 teams are a tier below the rest, but then Shanghai is like another tier and a half below Florida and Dallas. And
like I said, the big problem with Shanghai and the reason they're never going to a match right now is because they're averaging 1.125 map points a week.
Yep.
Yeah. They got lucky this last week. They got 2. Holy crap! They actually broke the threshold.
Yeah, no, they had a streak, quote unquote. So yeah, hopefully these teams can kind of get it together. I mean, when I look at these three teams, my thoughts are Dallas is trending down, Florida is trending up, and Shanghai is staying the same.
Stagnant. Yeah, I was gonna say stagnant. They're not. They're
Um,
just treading water at this point. I mean,
all right, but
and it sucks because you look at everybody that's at that Overwatch stadium every week, and everybody at home in the chat, everybody wants to see Shanghai get that
everybody
win.
does.
I mean, I want to see
Like at
Shanghai get
least
that win.
one. Like, come on.
Florida's my team, and even I was kind of like, give it to him, guys, give it to him, please, just like, just let him get a win, But at the same time, I wanted my team to win, so
What
it was a torn thing, but yeah, everybody wants to see Shanghai get that win. Please, come on, guys, just play a little harder.
The thing that I think is interesting is Shanghai has struggled so greatly this season that whatever team, if they get a win, whatever team they eventually beat is just going to be a meme like till the end of time.
Yeah.
Like,
oh no, it's gonna be instant humiliation. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's XL.
Yeah.
You will be the laughing stock of the league for the rest of the season.
At the very least, you'll be the laughing stock of Twitch chat, but hopefully that doesn't deter anybody. But anything else you wanted to kind of add to this before we move on?
I think we're ready to get into predictions, man.
All right, man. Sounds like a plan. All right. Week 4 of Stage 3. We are rapidly approaching stage playoffs. So, first up, we got Shanghai going up against Boston. 4-0 Boston.
This is exactly what I was talking
come on.
about, dude. Like they got a rough schedule coming up. This is not happening at the end of this season.
This is the number 1 team against the number 12 team.
This is going to be Boston trying new strategies and just crazy comps. Like if Symmetra's played, this is where it's going to be.
I'd be down for that. Now we got Valiant versus the Outlaws. This could be a potentially close one. I think that
I think this will be a slugfest,
I think the Outlaws have been looking a little bit stronger than they were at the start of Stage 3, especially if Jake can step up on the Tracer.
Yeah, well, definitely. I was going to say, with Jake stepping up a big time, Lynx are kind of getting back to form because Jake is actually pulling his weight on that Tracer so he can get back to that Widow and lay down that suppression. I think they could actually go toe-to-toe with the Valiant. Like, this is a hard one to pick. And I kind of have a feeling that Houston will, kind of throw that rope-a-dope at Valiant and pull out a last-second win that nobody sees coming.
Right. And I think I'm going to agree with you. Like, I think Houston's going to win. I think it's going to be a very hard win for them. And I think it all kind of hinges on, to a lesser extent, Jake's Tracer play, but it also hinges on what Lynx are we going to get. Are we going to get kind of humdrum so-so Lynxer, or are we going to get monster on fire Widowmaker headshot Lynxer? So we'll see what happens. Speaking of battle for the bottom, we have Dallas taking on Florida Mayhem.
Well, and this is kind of getting back to what I was saying. I really think that this is going to be that match that flips it. I think that Mayhem is going to put up enough map points that Dallas won't. That by the end of this, they won't be tied. Mayhem will be on top of Fuel. Fuel will be sitting right above the Dragon.
So I don't know if this one match is going to be enough to flip the standings, but I will say I do think that Florida's going to take it. Either way, though,
it's definitely going to be close to flipping standings.
Yeah, either way, just like a battle for the top, like battle for the bottom is always super hype because these teams really want to beat each other. So now we got Gladiators.
But keep in mind, so you were picking Florida there, or?
Yeah, I'm picking Florida.
Okay, I was gonna say, because keep in mind, Effect's not playing, dude. Like, Logic's gonna have a field day. He's gonna have that entire back line open to just destroy the Fuel's supports without anybody opposing him.
Yep. And then we got Gladiators taking on the Spitfire.
I want to say that I think London is gonna kind of start their march back. But
Are they going to have Bergering back, though, is the big question.
That's the big question. If they have Bergering, I think that they can take this. If they don't, I think Fisher continues to beat into London's head just what a mistake it was to let him go.
Yep. So I think we'll call it conditional on this one. Bergering's back, London wins. Bergering's out, Gladiators win.
Yeah, if Bergering's back, he's going to have something to prove. He's going to have a week to make up for. I think he'll come back on fire. It will definitely be London.
So
if Bergering's back.
Yep. So now we got XL taking on the Shock. Now, any other stage, any other week, I would say 4-0, easy win for XL. I do still think XL are going to win. However, I mean, we can't forget the fact that Shock are in 4th place right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're right behind XL. So this is kind of I don't want to say it's a must win for San Francisco, because I think, if they lose this one and win their next game for the week, then they'll be okay still. But it is kind of a must win for San Francisco. You want to solidify that spot in the end of stage finals. You don't want to go in there with a dicey situation going into week 5 of like, we may make it, we may not. So yeah, San Francisco really needs to bring their A game. I think that they can push this to a 5th map, but I don't think they're going to beat XL.
Yeah. And I think honestly they'd be kind of lucky to push it to a 5th map. So now we got Seoul Dynasty taking on Philly. I mean, historically Seoul has looked, I would say, maybe stronger, but right now, I mean, I feel like this is kind of a coin toss.
I think Philly has been the stronger team since, week 1 of stage 1. I mean, I hate to say it, but I kind of see the Seoul Dynasty a little bit like Dallas, where there was a lot of hype and they just didn't live up to it. I mean, obviously not to the extent that Dallas has, but they're definitely not the big, bad, scary wolf that everybody thought they were going to be, coming into the league. And I think with Philly's aggressive play style, they're the scarier team in there. Like if anybody's going to do some unexpected stuff, it's going to be Philly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that kind of wild card play style is going to be really important for them going into this match. So I'll go ahead and call Philly too. And I think this will certainly be a good one to watch. Moving into I cut it off a little bit. Friday and Saturday, we got Fuel taking on the Uprising. I mean,
like I said, could the schedule be any easier for Boston right now? Like,
yeah,
you're
I
getting
know.
a few bottom teams. Like basically just sign your ticket into the stage playoffs, dude. You guys are.
I mean, they're a lock for stage playoffs at this point. It's just
Yeah,
whether or not they're going to get a bye.
Especially well, no, there's not going to be any buys anymore. Remember, because now we have 4 teams. So what's going to end up happening?
Right, it's the bracket.
Is the top team to pick out of the lower 2 teams which one they want to play.
Right,
and
right.
then the other one plays the second team.
Right.
So it's whether or not they'll have that pick. I think is what they're playing for right now. But I think coming out of this week, they're going to have that fire to just keep on going. And if any team is going to close out a stage undefeated, it'll be this Boston team right here.
Yep. I mean, I think they're the only team right now that is undefeated for this stage.
Well, no, I'm not talking any stage in the season. Going undefeated in any stage of the season. The team that can do it is this Boston team right here.
All right. Bold words. So now we got Gladiators taking on the Outlaws. I mean, Gladiators have looked strong, especially with Fissure. I feel like, I don't know. I think if Houston can be riding high off of a win against Valiant, I think Houston's going to pull this one out.
I think it's going to come down to who can do the most unexpected thing. Sorry. But, Gladiators have kind of these ace up their sleeve with hydration, being able to pull out Doom Fists and, sure force flexibility. the Gladiators have a lot of that kind of Dallas ability to just pull out weird compositions that you don't see coming.
Right.
But so does Houston. Like you said, Rockets' ability to play Bastion and
Yep.
Roadhog.
Yep.
Um, both of these teams have insane inflexibility, and I think what's going to happen is it's going to be who's the most creative is going to be the one that wins.
I'm going to also add to this. I think that the map pool is going to play a big role in this. I think if, depending on what the payload map is, I think if it's Junkertown, that bodes really, really well for Houston. And if we get Route 66, that's going to bode really well for Gladiators because Houston has definitely struggled big time on that map. And I think it's actually like one of the biggest spreads we've got in the league where Houston is pretty much, I think, the best team record-wise on Junkertown, and I think they're actually the worst team record-wise on Route 66.
Yeah, I think the commentator said something they never captured a point B on Route 66.
Yep.
Monty, I think, was the one who called Monte Cristo. I'm sorry. Let me be formal about that. I believe when they got to Route 66 in their last game this week, he said, guaranteed this is going to a fifth map. Houston has never captured point B.
Right.
You know, like he already knew. He called it before it happened, and it played out exactly like that. So yeah, they are by far the worst team on Route 66 so far this stage.
Now that they have won it, they won against Dallas Fuel the other night, but they still haven't captured that point B. I think Houston
Yeah,
in general.
well, what they did though was that they were held on point A actually, and they did a harder hold on point A than what they were held
Oh, is
to.
that what it was?
So that's what it boiled down to. But I mean, again, they still failed to capture.
I
They
think
even get to
Houston
point
in
B.
general is a very defense-oriented team. That's one of their better strengths.
Yeah, definitely.
But moving on to I'm sorry. So we have Valiant taking on the Mayhem. I mean, I gotta give this one to Valiant. I don't think Florida are ready to take a game off of them.
My gut instinct wants me to say the same thing. Just Bunny is an insanely scary tracer. Soon being able to get back to that Widow is kind of scary, but I want to have faith in Saya player, Tavik, and Logix to overcome the Valiant's DPS. I think that the two teams are pretty even in tanks and support, especially with Zupe stepping up, on that Zenyatta for Florida. So I kind of want to give the edge to Florida on this one. I think that they're going to be coming off of 2 wins, beating Shanghai and Fuel, and they're going to be on fire. And Valiant's kind of wishy-washy. I mean, they win some you don't expect them to. They lose some you expect them to win. I think this is going to be one of those they lose one that you expect them to win.
All right.
So I'm going to go with Florida.
Let's see if they can put it up. So we got SF Shock going up against London Spitfire on Saturday. And again, this is another one where I would have said easily London. But with Shock looking really strong right now, I think this could kind of be anybody's game. And again, I think it hinges a lot on whether Birdring's back.
Well, and it also hinges on whether or not that synergy continues to build for San Francisco. Still waiting for Sinatra to kind of find his groove in the Overwatch League. It doesn't seem to be there yet. Architect is doing well. Super's kind of struggling a little bit. Moth is still taking strides to kind of figure it out. If they can lock that in, then yeah, San Francisco has a serious chance to win this game. But this is one of those scary ones where I'm kind of hesitant. I want to see how they play against New York before I could say I think they could beat London. But you know what? I'll go out on a whim and call the Shock for this one and say, you know what? Show me I've been wrong about you guys. This is your chance.
I'm so torn. I really think I could go either way, but just gut reaction, I think I'm going to go with Spitfire. But this will be a good one to watch for sure. Hopefully Architect can step up for his team. So then we have Seoul against NYXL.
Which will be the continued pummeling of Seoul by XL. I mean, they've been doing it all season. It's not going to change.
Yep. Agree with you there. And then finally, closing out the week, we've got Philadelphia Fusion taking on Shanghai Dragons.
which is going to be the most unexciting map of the
Yeah,
entire
I
week
mean, it's going to
or
be
match.
Philly going aggressive and having target practice.
I mean, here's what sucks for Shanghai is like I said, you got a rough end of schedule for the end of stage 3 here. You're playing the two most aggressive teams in the Overwatch this week.
Right.
Like, not only are you going to get your asses handed to you, they're going to be splattered and smeared all over the wall so you can paint a picture with them. It's going to be that kind of thing. Like, this is just going to be bad. This is going to be one of those soul crushing moments for Shanghai where they need to bounce back from this upcoming week because this is going to be brutal.
Yep.
This is going to be rough. Like, just shake it off. Remember that, you know what, every day is a new chance to get that win. Maybe in week 5 you'll find one, but I kind of seriously doubt it. But just keep working hard. You're going to get there.
Yep.
Like, you got to take the losses to appreciate the wins. That's what my coaches would teach us when we lose a game when I was a kid playing sports. So just take all these losses, Shanghai, so that when you get that win, there's no better feeling in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially know that you're going to humiliate the beat. So make it a good team, like San Francisco.
Yep. But yeah, definitely some great matches next week. So definitely a good one to watch. And a lot of playoff implications this week. So teams looking to lock in their spots, teams looking to upset those spots and kind of sneak their way in. So we will kind of see what's gonna happen. But
standings are super close. I mean, Shock is ahead by 1 game right now. Again, that could swing any way with Philadelphia down there, Gladiators down there,
yep.
Houston down there, London down there, Seoul down there. I mean, any one of these can just flip that switch on Shock right now. So who knows what's going to happen? But like you said,
we will certainly be there to talk about it.
Definitely.
So I think that's going to be a wrap for us here this evening. Thank you guys so much for coming out to watch on the stream. If you're here, thank you guys for listening to the podcast recording. Please do give us a like, give us a follow, retweet, reblog, whatever your preferred social media is. Really helps us out a lot trying to spread kind of our reach, get some more of that audience participation. We really want to hear what you guys think. Questions, comments, feedback, positive, negative, hit us up. Our Twitter handles are in the video. My name is Nick Amicus. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Magic of Limbo. Race, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at OneEyeWilly82, on Twitch at The Real Rigsby, and in games at Riggs number 11720. If you want to play some games with me, hit me up. A few of you already have. I have a insane fun playing with you guys. So just, let's keep it up. Let's keep doing it.
Absolutely. And guys, if you like the stream, do please give me a follow down below on Twitch. We'll be live here every weekend talking about the games, having a good time. For everybody that wants to follow on the podcast, we are on Podomatic and iTunes, so give us a listen.
Shoot us an email at owlbreakitdown@gmail.com. Love to hear from you guys.
Yep. But for Riggs and myself, I think that is going to do it. So you guys have an awesome night and a fantastic week, and we will catch you next time. Later, guys.